Hey guys, Connie here. Welcome back to another video. So today's topic is protecting, loving, and healing your heart. This is a conversation that is going to be so good. So make sure you stay along for the rest of the video. Disclaimer, I'm not a professional. Please seek professional help. This is just me sharing you my experience for education, entertainment purposes. View at your discretion. So I just felt like I had to share that with you guys. So let's go on with the video. I've had 3 serious relationships and 2 situationships, but looking back in the timeline, my longest relationship was about 3 years and the shortest relationship was like 4 months. And so I'm noticing it's easier to pick myself back up, and that's simply what confidence is. It's the idea of picking yourself back up after multiple failures and telling yourself that you're still worthy of that reality. And it's very easy to stay in a comfortable situation and to build resentment than find a reason to jump into a different reality. So I had my first, relationship when I was 19, and my parents taught me don't have sex, don't drink, don't do drugs, all that. And as a girl who's just looking for love because home was not it, I went searching elsewhere. And at one point I got addicted to this idea of like hopping from situationships, looking for this desire to fill my need. And we now live in a society where like sex disease is at an all-time high. People are playing other people's heart like it's absolutely something that just is like an instrument, and that a lot of people find it really, really hard to fall in love. And I was listening to a Diary of the CEO featuring Dr. K, and I felt like I had to tell this to you guys. Very interesting is that when your dopamine, okay, is associated with pleasure, but serotonin serotonin is associated with contentment, peace, and happiness. That's why when you meditate or you go out in nature or you do some grounding, you release serotonin. Now, dopamine hijacks your brain in a way where it's constantly looking for the next thing. So the next baddest chick, the next richest guy, the next event, the next night out, right? But the problem with dopamine is the more that you use it, the more that you need to use it. And so I didn't realize I was on this dopamine fix from 19 up until about a month ago. And the reason why I say that is because literally, like, I had been wired myself. I wired myself to look for a replacement for this hole that I'm filling. And so what ended up being a 2.5-year relationship ended up being, I was okay with dealing with situationships until I literally went to God and I cried my heart out. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep breaking my own heart. I don't even know if there's good men out there. And if there is a good man out there, there's this lack of trust that I have within myself. Okay, because it's nobody else's fault but your own. You put yourself into this mess. So don't blame the man, don't blame the woman, blame you, and take ownership and accountability. And so I decided to like really just kind of detox and sit with myself. I'm the type of woman where like I'll get into like a situationship or I'll get into a relationship after months of processing. So I don't just hop on back to back to back. But from the age of 19 until 24, you know, I've had 5 situations where it's like, okay, I need to really take a breather and I really need to build this relationship with myself and with God. I believe that God really healed this part of me because I was getting into relationships to trigger abandonment and neglection wounds. And thus I was breaking my own heart over and over and over again, that my heart became so blocked that I couldn't feel anything except just like mild tiredness and sadness and depression. And so I exhausted my dopamine, right? Because if I wasn't, going on dates or being with that person, I was working, I was watching TV, I was listening to music, I was buying, I was basically exhausting all ends just to not be alone, not be scared. But the thing is, every time I did that, right, because dopamine tricks your brain into thinking, dopamine basically tricks your brain into thinking that a moment, that sneaky link, or, that food might taste good for now, but you're going to regret it later. And the thing is, you're going to need more and more and more. This is why I gained up to 200 pounds. This is why I was in 5 different situations. And I'm very vulnerable because it's not about what happened to you, but it's what you do despite that. That's where worth is. And when I was reading, let me show you guys the book. This is the book, okay? The Untethered Soul. I was reading this book and it was talking about, okay, thank God, because the sun was in my eyes for a little bit. It was talking about the idea of like the fact that you're even trying to believe in love, the fact that you're even trying to become the best version of yourself. You don't know what that looks like. The fact that you're even daring to believe in something, you're already great. And I really healed my self-worth issue because I used to be so attached to people. I would get so much anxiety when I wouldn't hear from people, so much fear and doubt, and like my mind would go all crazy. And I realized I had been fixed to that stimulation, right? And there's a study done. I don't remember the name of the study, but it's where they took a group of rats and they gave it the best food. You know, they had the food, water, safety. They had different, you know, genders, and you would think that these rats would multiply and produce offspring and yada yada yada. And so at first things went really good. You know, the rats started mating, but over that study time, the rats all died. And you would think that, you know, if every need is met, right, like you would be happy, you would be content, but that's not the case. So if all needs are met, you're going to be so comfortable, you have no initiative to want to do better. So in trying to break your own heart, that I found in my life was, if I did have, you know, a partner to talk to, if I did have the food, if I did have the job, like avoiding suffering, right, creates a lazy brain. And if you have a lazy brain, you have no incentive to want to do better. And this is exactly why young men that have no responsibility, no hardship, and everything is done by their mother are little boys, and you feel like you're a mother to them. Vice versa, if daddy does everything for you, you have no initiative to want to, you know, like grow, want to heal. And so I'm very, very grateful for the trauma that I have and the gift of building a strong foundation for myself and for my kids. But anyways, with the back to the whole Diary of the CEO thing, is that you literally, the reason why you can't fall in love or why you can't feel love is your dopamine is so exhausted. It's so depleted. It's like you have no fuel anymore. Where else are you supposed to go? You can't reroute. You're burnt out. You're stuck in the middle of the highway, right? For God's sake. So think about that. From the moment you wake up, you're probably listening to music. You're probably doing a podcast, dopamine hit, right? Next, you know, you're basically being stimulated. You know, you eat breakfast, and then, you know, you go to school or you go to work, you're stimulated. You come home, you watch TV, you're stimulated. You know, it's like by the time you get home, you can't even pay attention to your partner. Okay, you literally have no energy to fall in love because all energy is depleted. It's been maxed out, it's been pushed out there versus in there. So in here, so how I was able to unbetray my own heart was I detoxed from guys. I literally have made a vow to myself that if there is no ring on my finger, if my husband does not recognize me, or if the guy does not recognize me as his wife and matches the consistency, I'm cool. And it was really, really hard because I almost had this withdrawal effect. And so when I used to work at with children with autism, they call it an extinction burst, right? You're putting a behavior to extinction. You don't want that behavior to occur. So in my life, I didn't want to break my own heart anymore. So I was looking at a scientific way, which is, okay, I need to remove as much stimulation as I can. So less social media time. I obviously am a content creator. So I block out time, right? And at work, like, okay, don't watch the movie with the client, or you know, don't be on your phone like that, or don't listen to as much music, don't listen to much podcasts, be in the present moment, or take a walk with nothing. And that's something that I'm still struggling with. Is it's hard for me to listen to music, to not listen to music and then work out, but some people can do that. And so you want to build your reservoir, you want to build your dopamine bank. Okay, because the more that you build your dopamine bank, the easier it is for you to fall in love, because you have that much energy to do so. I'm just looking over there. And I didn't realize that because I was fighting for time and attention, it had manifested my entire life. I'm 24. That's 24 years of running this low self-esteem, low self-worth, breaking my own heart, trying over and over again, about to give up. I'm crying endlessly, you know, getting to toxic situationships based on a toxic mindset and clearing that out. It is a responsibility that is really, really hard. The thing is, I would rather take this road now than hop to another relationship, or, distract myself and smoke my life away, or go clubbing, because I'm doing it in moderation, of course, but I'm just simply saying is that it's time that we as a society take responsibility for our emotions and not see other people as objects. You know how demoralizing it is? Like, in high school, we were praised that, oh, look at all these hoes that I have in my DMs, or look at all these guys I'm talking to, and look, I just broke his heart. Like, as if there's like a stigma, like a hype for that. And now growing up, I'm looking at it like, that is so disgusting to me. Like, the idea of playing with someone's heart and mind and soul and not giving a damn about what they have to think, and because everyone else is hyping you up. And the same people that are playing other people are playing themselves. So the life that I want, right, the marriage, the traditional nuclear family, is almost like an unheard treasure that nobody is willing to seek anymore. And I don't care. I'm willing to mend my heart. And one of the things I learned was, you are not an experiencer of your heart. No, you are an experiencer of your heart. You are actually not your heart. And so what that means is, we think that we say, I feel sad, I feel this. No, whatever trauma is out there in the past, it gets blocked. It stores deep into the heart, that any car, any tree can trigger that. And until you feel it, right, like, you have to clear enough ugliness and resentment and pain out of your heart for God to flow through. And my whole entire life, because of trauma, I blocked my heart. So I attract people that were blocked, that were narcissistic, that neglected, that had no emotional capacity, because I was that. Okay, I was that. The only reason why you're experiencing narcissism, right, is because it had been done to you and you do it to yourself. You are what you attract. The only reason why you're cheated on is because you cheated yourself out of a dream. You knew God said not to get into this, but you trusted your traumatized mind instead of the higher version, the higher calling. And so I'm literally taking ownership right now and really tending my heart. And it is so scary to fall in love in today's age, because you don't want to be someone's sneaky link, or you don't want to play your emotions, and you guard your heart so well, but you know that if you want a marriage or family, you're going to have to open your heart. So I've just been loving on me. Every emotion that I feel from my heart, I feel it. I journal about it. I pray to God about it. And the thing is, I've been removing the callous of my heart. And I realize society loves these like bad boys, right? The boys that are just like smoking and drinking and riding their motorcycles and have guns, and like they're thugs and all that. And I used to fall in love with all that. Okay, now growing up, I think the son of a cowboy is cute. I think the son of a guy that reads a book is cute. I think the son of a guy that loves nature is cute. I think a guy that just is to himself is cute, and he's not in the mix, and that like he loves his family, like a family value, faith value man, because that's healthy. The thing is, I was attracting unhealthy things because my mind was unhealthy, because I've been programmed, right? And the hardest part is like forgiving yourself. And you hurt other people. You're not an angel, point blank, period. No matter how good you are, you've hurt somebody else in the past. And so it's like, oh my God, all this healing, all this work, and you are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. You are the ones listening to it. So you can change. And this is your sign to stop playing your heart. And how I did it was, I literally had to reset my dopamine, right? I was like, I'm done. And I sat with myself for quite some time, and I cried for quite some time. I journaled and prayed and screamed quite some time. And you're going to have to leave the old world, the world where like everyone is in a really bad habit. Because one day, if you don't become cautious, your lungs are going to give out. You're going to be too tired to be there for your kids. And the thing is that you're not going to show up for yourself or for your spouse. And the more that I know my worth, the more that I have these like standards for men. And the thing is that the moment I understood like how society is raising these toxic people, I don't want to be a part of that. And the thing is that the guy that God has for me is hidden deep, deep, deep within God. So I also must seek God, right, to find my husband, to also from a place of healing, fulfillment. And I just feel it was so beautiful, because people don't know how to handle purity and innocence these days, in terms of like people who are considerate and empathetic and kind and understanding. Like, it's just easier to be demoralizing. It's easier to be playing people's emotions and minds. And it's easy to give up than to believe that you can have it all, to believe that there is love. The world does not want you to fall in love. The world does not want you to have a family. The world does not want you to have a stable nuclear home, right? The world does not want you to walk in your purpose, because then you, because feeling unloved and feeling unsafe breeds chaos. And chaos, right, it can be easily manipulated by the wrong group of people. So you never live in your true life. And I learned that like the moment you focus all your attention on an object or experience, you become that. So I literally am pulling my mind out of my body. I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm literally, to this day, I don't have people blowing up my phone. Like, I barely had it back then. I don't give a shit about it now. And I'm so at peace with my life. Like, I would never, ever, ever sacrifice the peace. And the moment I knew my peace was sacrificed was when I stopped cleaning my room. The moment I knew that my heart needed to feel was like, I get a tightness on my chest. Like, my heart beats really, really fast. And so the moment I decided to not betray myself, I heard God more than I've ever had. And I'm okay with me. I'm okay with the peace that I have. And I might not be hanging out with the world and the friends and all that stuff, but I'm not losing myself again. You know what I mean? Like, I can't afford that. That's too expensive. And I learned to treat myself like the apple of my eye, like God's daughter. And I was watching Piercy Jackson with my client today, and one of the lines was, I may not be the father that you want me to be, but I'm always there in your dreams, and I'm always there in your thoughts, and I will always stand by you. And I thought of Jesus Christ. Like, I didn't think Conde at 24 would ever feel this amount of self-worth and not fake it, and truly be okay and be content with her own energy. Like, I'm going to the gym and just working out. I'm doing consecrating. It's fun. Like, life just feels like I'm living again, not just performing for everybody else. So some things I had to let go of was the performative identity. I started living for me, but it was really hard. I had to learn how to love myself, and call myself out on BS. That was hard too. I removed situationships that just did not serve my life, and it was hard. And I had to literally like reset my entire body, get back into reading, because the man that I want, someone who's well educated, always continuously growing, who has kind of compassion, loyalty, and faith in his heart, who's a family oriented man, who's a purpose driven man, like, who am I to be out here like not walking my purpose, but claim that man? That's just not how God works. And it was really, really hard. I wasn't the wife that I thought I was. And so the moment I stopped betraying my heart, I was revealed to the truth of like where I need to work on. And at one moment I left that old world, and it's almost like I can't just hustle anymore. I can't eat like shit as much anymore. I can't just throw myself and sabotage myself anymore. It's almost like a language that I don't speak. And so the moment you stop betraying your heart, you realize, I don't care if I have myself and God, I'm cool. But I am not going to betray myself just for somebody to stay. And people that get cheated on or all that lied to and led on betray themselves at a very young age, and things you didn't know. But it is your responsibility to pick yourself back up. And it's hard because it's like, what does that look like, right? What does not betraying your heart look like? And the thing is, I am my husband's wife. I am the daughter of the Most High. And the moment I started walking that energy, it's almost like life just opened its doors to me, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not desperate anymore. Like, I am so proud of myself. I want to give myself a round of applause because I am not desperate. I'm cool. And it's not that I'm nonchalant, but I now know who I am, and I know what's meant for me, and what's not, God can remove. And so, and being okay with saying no. And I went through this whole like mindset change of like, I'm never gonna get married, I'm never gonna have kids, yada yada yada, I should be this. And I'm like, you know, I'm 24 and I'm okay. Like, truly I am okay. And Dr. K was talking about, before I wrap things up, he was talking about the idea of like, if you have piss in water, no amount of sugar is going to make the piss go away. And that's what trauma is. So my biggest advice to you guys, if one thing you could do is heal your trauma. Because if he was talking about it, if you can understand and heal your trauma, the behavior and the habits will naturally fall into place. So if you can remove the urine, right, you will have clean water. You won't have to worry about putting different supplements to make the water clean and biohacking and doing X, Y, and Z. Remove the piss, clean it out. And that's what like trauma does. And I used to be a big like self-development person, but that was because I saw so much negative things in my life. And I wasn't getting to the root cause. I was just bandaging everything. Like how I was bandaging these situationships and relationships when the root cause, the piss, was literally when I was younger. And clearing out my cup to be able to, have the capacity to attract my husband, to attract my marriage, to attract my business. And because I grew up like people see me as an object, I saw myself as an object. I saw myself as like, oh, just a good time. That's not what a wife does. And I betrayed my own heart, and I was taught how to, because it's like, in our culture, we don't have woman empowerment or like a soft, loving women's group. It's like everyone fends for itself. And so I was always in constant survival. So when a woman's in constant survival, she doesn't see herself as like this dime and this precious gem. She sees herself as an object. She sees herself as something performative. And that itself is going to lead to a lot of betrayals. And with prayers and meditation, I was able to really clear my mind. And lately, I don't have the noises that I have anymore. I'm not desperate for attention. I don't care if they don't call or they don't text. I am honestly at peace and I am okay. And I just know that God remembers me. I know that God hears all my prayers. I know God walks with me. And that's because God taught me how to heal my heart. God taught me how not to betray myself. And in a weird way, having this relationship with God has taught me how to be faithful to myself. If I be faithful to myself, can everybody else respect and be faithful to me. Does that make sense? Because you're never going to flock around desperate people. And so that's what I felt like I should share with you guys is, do not betray your heart for worldly things. God does remember you. And sometimes you're going to have to go through life physically alone, but never alone in the spirit. And you are absolutely worthy and deserving of everything that you could possibly think of. And like I always say, be fruitful, go forth, and multiply Christ consciousness.